Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. As you can see, this is not my sister sitting next to me, but she is here in the screen. Hey, sister, how you doing?
Hey, sister, doing well, doing well. Really excited to hear this conversation tonight.
I am excited as well. And if you are tuning in live, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight to Hey Sister. Make sure that you like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also join the conversation in the comments because that's where the action happens. We have lots of questions. We are going to forego hot topics tonight because what is a hotter topic than Gen Z? I mean, so I want to welcome to our Hey Sister platform. We have three wonderful young people. Hey Jody, thanks for tuning in tonight. And everybody knows what this is. That's the inside joke for the people on this phone right here on the screen right here. But tonight I want to welcome my daughter, Jasmine Sloan. Jasmine is 17 and she is a senior in high school. We have Damari Marsh. Say hey, Damari. Wave to the people. Damari is a sophomore in high school. And we have Michaela Freeman. Hey, Michaela. Michaela is a college freshman, and she's a young college freshman because she's 17 and living. She said she's living in an apartment, y'all. She's like, I don't know what to do with myself. How's that going for you, Michaela?
It's interesting. It was like an interesting transition. I don't know. I think it's just weird because I'm used to living with like an adult present in the house. So it's always so weird to realize that it's me and a bunch of other college students, and it's just a new thing to experience. So something I'm getting used to as well.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you. I know you're going to have great success, and all of you are going to have great success in everything that you do. Um, we've had a pre-show and we've been preparing for this conversation. So my sister and I, we've tried to hold everything in till we get to this to the larger platform, and we've asked them to kind of hold some of their responses too. We're going to start off really light because there's some heavy things we're probably going to get into, a little heavier, a little deeper. But the first thing we're going to start off with is something very light. Are you hot or cold? My daughter is sitting next to me with a full on sweater on, and y'all know it is 90 some degrees outside. And it always amazes me when I see young people, Gen Zers, um, going to the school and with sweatshirts on, and it's literally 100 degrees outside. I don't know, sister, tell us what you observed yesterday when you were on the campus of Southern University.
Yeah, I mean, I observed a lot and too much and all the things at one time. But but I just one young lady who stood out because she was having a photo shoot, which we'll get to because everything is a photo shoot. In a moment, she had on like this fur bucket hat, but like a crop top and a mini skirt and then leg warmers. And I was just like, how you cold at the top and the bottom, but you just really hot. And it was legitimately easily, I mean, they might have said it was cool yesterday, right? It was supposed to be a cool front coming in. So it was still had to be at least 96 degrees outside. And I mean the sun, the rain came the other day, but the sun was beaming down. And with my niece, I've often wondered, okay, is it the whole how folks used to do back in the day, wear the sweatshirt because when you get to school, you're gonna change and wear the other thing. And I know there's some of that going on, but then legitimately, I see folks with hoodies just out in the sunshine, and I don't get
So, what say you folks? Tell us.
it. Are you hot or are you
Are
cold?
you hot or are you cold?
Well, since I was called out, let me take
Okay.
this one real quick.
Okay.
First of all, notice how you said it's hot outside? it's cold inside. So if it's like, I don't know, 70 degrees inside or like 60 maybe, a sweater is nice. And then, you can take it off. It's just about putting
Right.
on.
That's our point. We don't see you taking it off. If you're outside at a game, tailgating, and you have on a buck fur hat and fur leg warmers, you're not taking that off. That was an intentional part of the outfit.
That was an intentional wardrobe choice. Go ahead, Michaela, because you have the fur bucket hat, which you shared with us.
What I explain it as, but I run cold. I'm always cold. So, because like agreeing with Jazz, it's like it's hot outside, but I'm not staying outside. I'm going inside where it's cold. But the thing with like the bucket hat, like and the leg warmers, because I do that. And a lot of the times, the reason why I do that is because it looks good with the outfit. It's a part of the aesthetic of the outfit, you know? It's not for like hot or cold purposes. It just looks, it ties the fit together in a way. That's how I see it. That's why I wear those things. 'Cause I think it looks nice. And I know it's like, oh, you're wearing like a cut off shirt and like shorts, but you're wearing leg warmers and like a fluffy thing. But it's like all together, it makes one complete outfit.
Exactly. It's all about the fit.
Okay. Well, then
Okay.
tell me this, Jasmine. Why are you be having on cutoff shirts in the wintertime? Now, if you cold, you cold. Like if you're cold natured, you will have a jacket. I'm just asking.
Let me know. I'll wear a cutoff shirt inside, because if I wore them to school, I best believe I'm leaving with a whole new shirt on. So I'm wearing that inside because then we have it hot inside.
But you have also, a cutoff shirt with a leather jacket on. Like, make it make sense. Damari, what say you before we move on to the next?
I think, well, more specifically in school, people, it's hot, so they're wearing like, their cutoff shirts and they have the jacket on just because like of dress code. But like it kind of, in my opinion, it defeats the purpose because it's like, why wear that at all if you know it's hot, but you have to wear a jacket to cover up your outfit because it's hot? Like it just doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Damari. Look at your little friends. Now they're not agreeing with you now.
It doesn't make sense.
You were wearing a long sleeve a couple days ago. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Oh, are you talking about the jacket that I had that was
Bring
there
up
for style?
Receipts, Jazz.
But that was like a button up. Like it wasn't like, a sweater or a hoodie. It was just like a button shirt.
Question. Do you have short sleeve button shirts?
I don't think so. I actually don't think I do.
Do we have short sleeve button shirts?
Damari.
I don't think I have any.
I've seen them.
Have you seen them?
I think Damari is saying that that was a good compromise between style and function, fashion and function. A button-down shirt that keeps him temperature regulated in the cold environments, for which he could actually roll the sleeves up if he got too hot once he stepped outside, and it still flowed with the outfit. See that we get, because here's the thing: y'all never take the hoodies off when you get in the 98 degree. We understand. We are the generation that will bring a jacket and a shawl to everything. To the doctor's office, to work, to all the places.
And a hand fan if we had to.
And a fan if we need to. Because we understand our bodies are not regulating, the temperature ain't regulating like it's supposed to. But we just want to know, like, because it feel like a lot of stuff might be stewing up under them hoodies in the 98 degrees. That's all we're wondering.
That's all we know. The juices and berries be flowing.
Woohoo! Berries is wild. Wild statement.
Anyway, child. Okay, well, we're gonna go on to the next topic in the next conversation. But thank y'all for sharing. Jasmine and Michaela, like it's all about the aesthetics. Amari is like it's about function. So we get it. Y'all all have different opinions. But you all are the generation that, when we were coming up and about your age, that was really the advent of the internet and AOL, and you got mail and email accounts and all that. You guys are the first generation, like solely squarely, like born with email addresses, everything fully online, digitized. And we know that social media, we're on social media platforms right now. Social media has been a part of your life from day one, from onset. And so we want to talk a little bit about social media influence. And in the pre-show, Auntie, Jasmine's auntie, all of y'all's auntie, because you know that's how we do. Ask the question: how much? So you have, you sleep about 8 hours or more, because as teens you're supposed to sleep about 9 to 10. You sleep about 8 or 9 hours. You have school for about 8, 9 hours, and you have 8 hours more in the day to do everything else. How much of that time are you on social media? And all of you were checking your phones to let us
Checking
know.
your apps to see how much
Yeah.
you're on social media.
Well, when I checked my app, it said like 6 hours and 30 minutes. So it's like most of the time I'm on my phone doing like something, whether it be like social media or playing a game or some sort of like that. But like while I'm on social media, I'm also doing other things. Like I'm multitasking. So it's like I'll be on social media, but I'll also be doing my homework. And like every now and again, the bounds will like go off of like I'll mostly be doing my homework with just my phone there, or I'll mostly be watching social media and the homework's over there. But like that's normally what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Jasmine, what was your number?
Well, actually, my number 7 hours, I think, but that's this week alone. That's not like a day. That's the week. My most of my time is spent on YouTube. I don't know. Usually, I have like a video. Like I'll put on an hour-long video, and then there'll be like background noise. It's like it's how I focus. I got the background noise on, and then I'm doing my thing. I'm getting to work, and if the background noise stops, I stop. I gotta find something
Yeah.
new, and that's where the
Yeah.
majority of my time racks up. Because really, I don't know. Recently, I've tried to stay off of it more. I've put more restrictions on myself, but back like when I was younger, I was on it way more because that's really all I had to do.
When you were younger. Okay, well, Michaela, what say you? We got Jody, our guest. She said she got 3 hours and 25 minutes today.
Well, my average is about 8 hours and 30 minutes. But again, that's mostly because I use it to listen to music. Like a lot of times I walk to places, so I always have music playing or else I feel like weird. I use it as a background so when I'm doing homework, just have something playing so I'm not just in pure silence. I don't know, for me it's like something about silence, I don't like it. So I always have something playing, whether it be a silly YouTube video, and it doesn't even matter what it is. A silly YouTube video, music, even this drives me crazy. But something I used to do was that I would have TikTok playing, and if I step away to do something, the video would just repeat and repeat and repeat. But that was still better than silence, you know. So that's it for me. I can't with silence.
Same. I need
Mm-hmm.
noise. I need
Me too.
something. I feel like I need the people talking. Like the talking is what I'm like. It feels like I'm in an environment where I'm getting work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a comment from a boomer here who says, good thing an airline flight does multitask. And another comment here. I do that with the TV when home.
Mm-hmm.
I might not be watching it, but it's the noise. And so I'm gonna encourage you all to get comfortable with silence. And the truth is there is no such thing as multitasking. Our brains don't work that way, our human brains don't work that way. Really, we're going from one thing to the next and we're bouncing back and forward. And usually we're getting um our productivity is less because we're going from one thing to the next to the next to the next because our brain is bouncing back and forth versus having focused concentrated time finish and get on to the next thing. So I just want to encourage you all to, as you're forming these habits, as you are only in your first few weeks of college, as those courses get harder, knowing that that
All out.
focus It's gonna be necessary. I mean, we've been there, right, Auntie? What you say?
We have. I think it's very interesting that, you all say you just like to hear, whether it's from Jasmine's perspective, it's the talking. And Michaela, I don't know if I heard you correctly, but it sounds like music is more of your thing. And so it's interesting because one of the conversations I was having with my niece the other day, we listened to the Renaissance album, and we also sat and read all of the words to the album. And what I told her is that I am a lyrics person. So when I hear just certain, not any song specifically, but any song in general, I am listening for, well, what are you saying? Because I know that beats can be made, and they can be, I like to say, you can get seduced by the beat, right? You can hear a beat and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's dope, and just listen to it over and over again. And I mean, they could be saying, kill your dog, I don't know, and it's like, but I like the beat, and you're listening to it. I'm just saying. So sometimes it makes me wonder if, because you all just like to hear those sounds on repeat, have you kind of become sort of desensitized to what is actually being said, because you're just listening for the repetitive sound?
Yeah. We have a comment here, and y'all think about y'all's answer to that question. When I'm sitting in complete silence, I get sleepy. When I have background noise, I'm like a champion. Although I can tune into the wrong things sometimes. Garbage. Yeah.
Okay, well, I agree with that. I agree with that completely because I do that with work, but I also do it with when I'm watching TV. Like I have something in my hand and I'm like doing it, like maybe a game. I'll do that because like the game keeps me like I'm like doing it, but I'm like, oh, that's happening in the show. Got it, got it. Uh huh. Okay, and then I get the plot points, and then maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch it again. But I think also with the noise, especially when it comes to music. Um, the reason why I have these moments where I have to if I'm actually interested in like the song that came out or like the album that came out, I have moments where I'm just like I'm putting on the album, I'm listening to that. Because if I don't, I'm not hearing anything that's happening. So like the first time I listened to Renaissance, I was focused on something else. I didn't pick up any of it. I was like, it was an okay album, but that's because I didn't hear any of it. And that's because I wasn't paying attention to any of it. Because it's not my main focus, especially when I'm doing something else. Like the things that I'm doing and the background noise that I have is usually not my main focus because I think I've trained myself to be focused on the work more instead of what's on my phone, unless I get actually drawn away from it. Like it's kind of hard to draw me away from it
Okay.
if I'm in the zone.
We got another comment here. It says, back when I was younger, I loved listening to music and it was all about the beat. I listened to some of the same songs as I got older and listened to the words, and I was like, oh, that's what they were saying?
Before I like, please, because that song changed.
Oh, let's see. I remember when in college on Sundays, we'll put on the football games and study. Y'all see studies in quotes there. Study because it made me feel like I was at home. I needed the sound, but I didn't have to see the game. Comfort. Yeah. Awesome.
Wait. What about McKinley and Martin? Let them
Um,
answer.
well, I want to go because we got time. I'm like, and this is still related to that whole social media thing. And this is another topic in social media because we talked about. So you all said you're averaging 7, 8 hours, but it's
Was
just
that a day, or that was a day or a week?
This was like weekly, daily, like weekly average ish.
Weekly average, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially now. I mean, well, especially for us, me and Damari, it's not like we're on our phones during the weekdays as much anymore because we can't be. So
Yeah.
Mine has gotten worse because I only have morning classes. So after the latest, only on Wednesdays I have classes in the afternoon, but the latest I'm home like on a weekday would be 12 o'clock. So the rest of the day I don't really have anything to do, and since I'm going to college for performing arts, I don't really have too much homework as of right now. So I literally spend so much more of my time on social media. And when not on social media, I'm sleeping. So there are days where I feel like I am not being productive. So I feel like I need to do laundry, put away clothes, continue unpacking. But
Yeah.
then there's also days where I'm just like, this class took a lot out of me. And in my performing arts classes, I can't be on my phone. So and my classes go longer, so my class from 8 to 9:20, so I'm for like an hour and 20 minutes I'm without my phone, period, and I'm okay with that because I'm being kept busy doing something I am interested in learning about. So I think that my like social media use has gotten worse. I think it was already bad, but I think it has gotten worse even because I strive to like make it better, but you know,
And Michaela, you're a singer, right?
I am a singer, yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you all a tidbit because you may not have been born when this came out, but or when this was said. I don't know, but when Beyonce was in Destiny's Child way long ago, what she used to do is sing and run on the treadmill. So just something you can do to increase your lung capacity and your ability to keep performing, in case you get bored in those hours where you're not in class.
You always can be refining your craft, darling. Always be refining your craft. That is for all of you artistic children here.
Yes.
So let's talk about. So you're on social media a lot, and what we do know is that there's a lot of misinformation. And so, how are you all deciphering fact versus fiction online? I said earlier, do y'all even have you even heard of Encyclopedia Britannica? Jasmine said yes, but I
I
don't
have
know.
not.
I have
You
not.
have not. Okay. And so when you're doing research, are
Oh,
you
never mind. Yes, I have.
okay?
Yes,
Do
yeah.
you go to Wikipedia or is that okay?
No.
Oh, oh,
Britannica.com is right there.
Okay, Britannica.com. Thank you. We used to actually have things that called encyclopedia. They were actual books you open
Okay,
yeah.
I've
encyclopedia.
used the book before.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I'm aware when.
You said you're aware of one?
No, I've used them. I've used books.
Damari said he's aware of books.
I'm aware. I don't use
I'm also aware. I've
them.
used it.
Of encyclopedias.
I've seen
Ju-
one, but I don't like. There's no. I don't. I don't need to use that.
Have you all ever been to like a library and like checked out books? I'm genuinely
I'm a book reader. Yes, I have checked out many books, and
Okay.
In
I
elementary school.
Okay, Damari.
I do it now. I do it now. I have a
Wow,
full
no.
bookshelf
Damari's never
of
been
books.
to
I love reading.
before.
okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm all together serious when I ask that question.
No, because I understand because there is like online books now. Because I used to be the type of person where I refused to read a book I physically had to hold. Like I would only read books that I can scroll through it. It was so bad. But then I got a certain book that I actually picked up and I read physically. And I just loved flipping the pages and actually having a book I could mark up, write up, and then have on a shelf. The idea of like actually just having something in my hand and not like being on a screen. And so now I don't even read those online books anymore. If I see a book that I like, even if I can find it online, I prefer to have it physically in my hand. I can physically walk around with it, physically hold it like it's a book, you know?
Yeah.
So I understand why you would ask that question.
I get why you're asking it too. I hated reading books online. It was so like I don't know because I could never get the brightness right and then the color was off and I was like I need it in my hands because I grew up having books in my hands. The feeling of the pages and the stuff like that, I need that to read. I need it to focus and actually read something because it just and also the smell that's accompanied all the good senses that are accompanied with having a physical book in your hands. I've gotten like I'm like now a little not 50. I'm like 75. The other number I can't think of it right now. 75 and other, and I
25.
yes. Sorry, not too much on me right now. Okay, I'm trying to remember my thought. So I'm like, I'll read like something online, but that's because I have to, because I am not trying to buy a book right now, or it's not available. And I'm like, well, this free PDF that's probably not legal, I'm gonna read it. Trying to find another way to indulge my reading habits and stuff like that.
I just don't really read any book. Like books are just not for me. Like seeing just words and words alone. It's like some books will interest me and they're really good. So it's like, okay, I might continue reading this book. But like I'm not actively going out and venturing like myself to go get books or like read books online, read books in person. Like I like visuals and seeing things and hearing things. And like with books, it's just like sometimes I can imagine it, but it's like it's not there.
So let's talk about then how are you then deciphering? So obviously when you're doing research for school, you have to go through different things, but how are you deciphering what's real and what's not real online? There is a lot of crazy stuff out there that y'all had the whole um the COVID denying, mask wearing craziness that was abundant on TikTok. So with a lot of
Well,
other things. How are you
well, in,
deciphering what's real and what's not?
well, if I see it on TikTok, I don't assume it's real. But like I don't assume it's real, but I don't assume it's fiction. Like for example, with COVID, if I see it like on TikTok and it's like, let's say it's like something serious, like they said, it was coming from like it's coming from China, like they said that on TikTok, I'd be like, okay, let me actually like see if there's a website I can go to that's like with a website that doesn't end in .com, maybe like .org, gov, edu. Yeah, like something that seems more credible than a specific TikTok like video.
Okay.
Oh, well, you have just given me so much hope. Thank you.
But they got old grown folks with big ages that ain't doing that.
Yeah, like for example, my mom, I regret it, but I introduced her to TikTok a few years ago, and I literally had her recently tell me that her TikTok to her is like the second Bible, and she believes anything that's on TikTok. I'm like, Mom, no, that's not what I meant for you to do. TikTok is just supposed to be so fun and silly, goofy. You're not supposed to be like that's real because it's on TikTok. But for me, if I were to ever see anything on TikTok, I like to, like Damari said, research it more. Even if I don't just go to one website, I like to go to others. I like to make sure I know the facts behind it. For like, if I see like there was a natural disaster that happened, most of the times when there's a natural disaster, it's probably factual, but still I like to go check out the news and read articles on it, just to make sure I know the facts rather than just believing anything I hear on the internet, because I don't believe in that. I like to research and look more into it before I can decide if I believe it or not, or if I can form an opinion on it, even if it's just about a topic. I like to research. So that's how I differentiate fact from fiction.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people our age are actually like that. It's just you don't get to see that often.
Hmm.
Um, Most of us don't believe anything we see online because it's just like half
Most
of
of
it
us
is,
don't really care that much.
no, some of us don't even care. Like, I mean, we care because we're like, we
Yes.
want to be informed, but a lot of people
Hmm.
people our ages, they just don't care because it's just like, well, it's outside of me. But I think that's
Right.
also
If it's not
young
in
minds.
the realm of something that they like or they're interested in, they ignore it. That's
Exactly. That's the thing. You see, um, I'm gonna say this, older folks. I'm gonna be honest with you. You guys got to learn how to cater your social media because we cater our social medias to
Hmm.
ourselves. It's all about liking and commenting. You can't like or you can't comment on everything. You can't comment on something that
Hmm.
you don't like, because you will keep seeing
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna pop up more and more.
Visit
And
and
that's,
revisit.
yeah, that's how you get the fake news like circulating on your stuff, because you're commenting and like, this is not real. They're like, oh, they commented, that means we got to give them 10 more things of this.
Mhm.
That's the thing. So I don't really listen to anything that I hear on TikTok unless
Yeah.
it's a tip or trick. Because
Yes. It's
nothing
like, try this meal.
everything else, grain
I
of
use it a lot
salt.
for like college dorm tips because there are a lot of teenagers on there. So them telling me tips and tricks for college, especially if it's a college that I go to, I try to listen to it. If it seems like it's something that could be useful to me, I do use it. But when it's not, then
All right.
Well,
We
before
had
we move on, Demetra, I did have one question.
we had a few comments. Can I show
Okay,
them?
yeah, share the comments, please.
Okay, so we had one. I group Michaela. I'm an old lady, and messing with some of my friends have led me to IG, TikTok, and Messy Boots podcast. I have to stop it. Buy some books and as investments. She's talking about door-to-door salesmen for the encyclopedias. Y'all need to watch the episode of Good Times about when the man came around to sell the encyclopedias.
Yes.
Now, audiobooks from the library are a blessing. Lisa was agreeing about loving books and having those books to hold. My man, she said, I feel you. Don't judge me. I have read many books in my day, but have never been attracted to this by the spell. I love these Gen Zers. Yes, I commented on a Trump something on Facebook, and now they're asking me for money.
they follow you. They follow you. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's scary, but they do follow you. And I feel like something is that we know this, so we avoid this. You know.
Mhm.
That's
It's
why we
Very
don't
good point.
up with it, because we're not following it. But also,
Yeah.
they can decipher whether you're real or a bot. They are
Mhm.
following you because you're a real human being. You gotta be careful with that.
Well, thank you. You have taught us all something. Now, this is what I want to ask, and then we can move on. The pre-show, we came up with a conversation, and someone said that someone and everybody else who is a Gen Z or on here agreed that they may have fabricated some parts of their age in order to get on social media. So I just want to know, at what age did you get your first social media account?
All of them fabricated because by the age they are right now, I know they fabricated. But go
Well,
ahead.
actually, some of us are allowed to be on Twitter, so it's okay.
I just asked the question. What
So
is
at what age were you when you got your first
your
account?
social
I think I got an account when I moved to public school, so it was never.
Oh, you gonna blame it on the public school system?
Yes, I am. I'm gonna blame it on Florida public education. Um, no, no. I think well, because I went to private school for like a long time, so I was not real. I didn't have a phone, and I didn't have any access to that stuff, and I didn't really care about being on social media that much. And then I got around a higher population of people my age and older, and I felt weird for not being on social media. People were like, "You don't have Instagram?" Okay. And it was like, well, no, I don't have Instagram, but I'll make an Instagram. And then, like, I've archived all these posts now, but if
Actually, your room is ready if you need it tonight.
but I've archived all these posts now, but the majority of my posts were like maybe one picture, and it was just something simple, but it was like I felt that I needed it when I got around.
So was that 12? Was that 10? I mean,
12, maybe 13.
well, 13. I thought you were allowed to do it at 13.
Twitter. You're allowed to be on Twitter at 13.
How old is
wild.
it for Instagram?
18.
It's 18.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook is 18.
They changed the rules now, though, that you can get parent permission.
You can get parent permission now. They changed the rules recently. Damari, how old were you when you got your first account?
I think I was in 5th grade, and my account was like My account was Musically. This is like TikTok before TikTok. This is before TikTok.
Musically, yes.
Yeah. It was like the only videos you were seeing is like people doing a dance. You know, like it wasn't like TikTok how it is now, where there are scary stuff. Musically was like, just like starting to get the ball rolling. So it was like I was just watching people dance and listening to songs, not really doing much, not posting anything, just watching.
Mhm.
That one was with parent consent
Mm-hmm.
because I had just gotten my phone entering fourth grade. So it was like, oh, I just have this phone like to call my mom, like saying like long distance relationships, stuff like that, saying hi, etc. But like it was like musically was the first one, and then maybe like later on in middle school is when I got like Instagram and other things like that.
Okay.
All right. Michaela, what about you? How old were you when you first got on social media?
For me, I was freshly 10 years old when I got social media, but it's because when I was that age, because I'm young, younger than normal people, like at the stage of life that I'm at, I moved to the United States. And so when I got here, my mom wanted to contact me and she wanted me to have something because before that, I had no phone. I didn't feel like I needed it. I was living peacefully without any type of phone. I didn't care to play games. I had Nickelodeon on cable and I was great. And I used to go outside, but then when I moved here, my mom wouldn't trust me to be outside as much. I didn't know people around. She just wanted me to have some way to contact her. So then I was introduced to people way older than me, people who were even just a year older than me in the same grade as me because I was young. And when I entered the sixth grade, because I tested to be there, I had probably just turned 10, like 4 months in advance, because my birthday's in April and I started in like August. So, like a few months after I turned 10, and people would ask, like, do you have these types of social media? And luckily, my mom was okay with me getting some of these apps. The only thing she just didn't want me to have Snapchat at all. But I did have these social media apps when I was really young because I wanted to fit in, and my mom didn't want my life to be hard. So she wanted me to feel like I fit in because I had a really hard time adjusting to living in this new place with these new people and not having that much around me. So to feel like I fit in, to feel like I played a part, so I wasn't feel like I was an outcast, like I was out of place.
Mhm.
I got those social media apps when I was young.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's a very different perspective on it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And we're tuning live right now, y'all, with Hey Sister, and we're having a conversation with three people who are members of the Gen Z set. We're gonna drop in the comments so you can see what the generations, how they're defined according to any number of websites, and there's some fluctuation on this. But this is the generation who is squarely in the high school and college age right now. They were born in the early I can't even believe that 2003 was 20 years ago. So I'm struggling with that one. Okay. So they're like in that the dawn of um the 21st century and a little beyond that. And yeah, so we're having a really interesting conversation with them. And I guess if we had some Gen Alphas on, ooh, we would have a really, really interesting conversation.
They are still children.
And they are still children, but still very interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about then celebrity, influencer, or just somebody online, because the word celebrity or the word Instagram model is used so loosely. So many people are Instagram models, and I'm like, who, what? Because see, nowadays to be a model, you actually had to be on the cover of Vogue, or you had to be on somebody's runway. You actually, you know, had headshots, went to New York, did the thing, right? They pounded some pavement. They earned their stripes. And the three of you are in arts, and those who were deemed celebrity in our day, they actually were triple threats and actually had to go on some auditions and do some things before we would call them a celebrity. They had to be in a few things before we called them a celebrity. But
Yes.
now,
Well,
I I think the term celebrity is like used very loosely, but like we know, like I feel like the Gen Z people know what we mean because like there's celebrities like there's an A-list celebrity, there's a B-list celebrity, C, D, like the alphabet
Mhm.
of like hierarchy, like So for example, like Beyonce, she'd be like A, she's up there. Everyone knows who Beyonce is, and then like an Instagram model would be like lower letters of the alphabet of like a celebrity ranking.
Yeah. Um, Instagram models. I mean, a lot. I mean, there's a lot of
Well,
Instagram
let's
models.
not even. I don't want us to get caught up on Instagram models. But what's the little girl who Olivia James is it who cheated to get into college?
The daughter of the Full House lady.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
Oh, the
and she
daughter of
had
YouTuber. She was a blogger. I didn't know anything about her until the scandal. So
me neither.
okay. So there are those folks, right, who have
Mhm.
created a huge following online, and they're like, I don't know, the people I would say, are older than you all. So I mean, it's not a lot that I can call out, but I think because you all are so creative and arts focused. I mean, Damar, you have on a Jennifer Lopez shirt. You just showed us you have a Whitney Houston. I don't
Yeah,
know the name
Funko
of
Pop.
what is it called?
Funko Pop.
That I just like. So I feel like maybe you all have a different appreciation for what makes someone a celebrity. But then you just have people who pontificate online all the time. Maybe that's what we are. And they have, I mean, like, do you consider Kim Kardashian a celebrity?
Yes.
yes.
He's a
And on the and in the letter range, where is she?
association though.
By I
She's
feel
not.
like by association, yes and no, just because I feel like it's the last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who has that Kardashian Jenner last name
Mhm.
were literally kind of forced into that role of being a celebrity just because of their parents.
Mhm.
Scandal their
But
parents.
see, nowadays, that name didn't have such shine.
No, no. I mean, well, I think, well, Kim, we all know how Kim got famous, but Kim started to be known more because she was Paris Hilton's assistant. And since
Mhm.
Paris was big during the 2000s, everyone started to see Kim. And then Kim got famous. And
Hmm.
then everyone was like, ah, so who cares about Paris? It's all about Kim and the Kardashians. And then Chris took that and ran. Because
Mhm.
everyone knows she's the momager.
Yes.
She managed them well because she always has them. They are always in the cycle. They are always on the
Mhm.
timeline, no matter what, because they're dating someone. They're doing this. Something
Mhm.
happened. Oh my God. They profit off of what they're doing. I think she's an A-list celebrity, but that's because of her mother and the work that her mother was doing to make them all famous.
Another interesting thing I think is that people can become famous by association. For example, with Kim Kardashian, a lot of the like when you think Kim Kardashian, you think, oh, that's the one who dated Kanye, right? And for people like there's a TikTok influencer, her name was Addison Ray.
Yeah.
She posted a lot and she upped her platform to she hangs out with the Kardashians now because of that. So
Mhm.
she I think while she's considered TikTok famous and a TikTok celebrity, want to use that, she because of
But
her
she had a whole movie on Netflix
yeah,
because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah. But
because of
she did
that
the
TikTok platform and because of the people she knew because of her connections.
she's
Because when she posted all this stuff, like if she used a specific product in a video and it got a lot of traction, the person who made that product sends her more of that product to produce
Mhm.
to like for her to like say you should go get this and then more people would do that and she would get more into the spotlight which made celebrities interested in knowing her but especially celebrities PR teams like
Mhm.
people who manage
Yes.
celebrities see these new upcoming stars and want to like pray not pray but like sink their claws so that the celebrity that they are already managing looks like they're hip and with the times and friends with the youngins and all that stuff. So I feel like all of it ties together to make a celebrity. But people like Addison Rae, I personally do not consider Addison Rae a celebrity. Not yet. I feel like she can make her way there just because of with her movies, and she's actually pursuing a career.
Music.
I consider her an influencer. Like there's people like Nessa Barrett, who is a TikTok bird, who now has albums released and she goes on tours. I think she's making the way to becoming like a celebrity because she actually is going on tours, performing at these really big concerts, putting out albums, and perfecting her craft so that she can build that name. You
And
know
that's the same thing Addison Rae's doing because she just,
exactly.
yeah, she released music too. People were dogging on her music, and now all of a sudden, she's saving pop apparently.
Apparently, all of a
Yeah, I
sudden.
know.
And the same song that is being released now that apparently she's saving pop for, like last year, people were like, the song is so bad. So it's just interesting. It's all about, I don't even know. It's just
It's
people
not
are,
a change in mood. People's mood
Yeah.
just changes like that, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I feel like people make other people famous. Like people who are
Yes.
not famous make the famous people famous.
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't want them to be, or they really don't need to be in your eyes,
And
someone
I
anyone
else.
mean,
can become popular.
you
Like
can be famous positively and negatively.
Exactly.
exactly. And
Like,
anything can become popular at this point.
mm-hmm.
Like
All
they can
present.
dig up songs from so long ago that would now be on the top of the charts getting money again because people
Mariah
dance
Carey.
to it, lip sync into it. That's why Mariah Carey has that running gag of it's time because of All I Want for Christmas. Like everyone
Defrosted.
Mhm.
already knew that everyone would listen to that song, but because TikTok makes such a big deal out of it, every year Mariah posts like a big video being like, "It's time."
Yeah.
Like now it's
Mhm.
become this really big thing just because
Yeah.
people have made it famous. People has put Mariah back into the spotlight every year around that time.
Yep. She's
Well,
defrosting.
I want to say again, I'm feeling more hopeful. I really am because to be honest with you, I
We had a
genuinely
comment there, similar. Said, see, these Gen Zs we listen to are different. They are the 20%.
that's what it feels like. I mean, because what I'm hearing, I've honestly, again, as we started, Jasmine said, "You all know a lot." And I said, "Do you know a lot or have you been exposed to a lot?" And sometimes I have questioned if you were getting that, like, this is marketing, like, this is strategic. Like they are playing on you. Or Michaela, you alluded to the algorithms earlier, that there are people who are behind how all of these things are structured. And so it's refreshing to hear that you do recognize that.
Um, I think that like all like Gen Zers, like we know that there are people behind the scenes doing all of this work. We're just not like actively like showing that we know this. Like we're giving, for example, like you have the PAs to people. Like you don't like we don't blatantly give them like the praise that for the work that they do. Like we're aware that like, oh, this celebrity didn't just like, this celebrity didn't make this lipstick. They had like an idea of like, oh, I like the color pink, so do you think we can create something with pink? And they're talking with like scientists and makeup people who create that.
Exactly.
Well,
They
that's
just
refreshing,
they just
Damar.
have all these people that they talk to.
And maybe you all are the norm, and we are not giving your generation enough credit. What do you think about that?
That's another thing about social media too. That's I don't think. I mean, here's the thing, because I'm always riding for my generation. I'm like, we're better than this. I promise. We're better than what we're seeing because you only see part of the story
The
on
silly
social
stuff,
media.
when you're
Yes.
being just silly and just
Mhm.
saying the most daftest things just because you want to.
Or
But
just
Yeah.
because you want to
basically, you
get,
know a lot,
you know.
Daft. What a good vocabulary word.
Right?
T words.
I just think
We have a question. We're going to talk about this. Are you Gen Z into politics at all?
let me tell you. Let me tell you. the sixth grade lunch table was on and popping.
Uh,
2016 was a year, and we all stayed in. 2016, we went into the 2016 year, and then I think we just stayed on. Like when I tell you, when I say that's not a joke. When I tell you the lunch table, sixth grade, that was constant. We were constantly having conversations. We were like, "What's happening? What's happening? Who
mhm,
did this? Did you see?" Like we literally asked each other, "Did you watch the debate last night? Did you see that? Did you
mhm.
see all the stuff that happened? Did you know about this? Like, why do you agree with this guy?" Like it was
Yeah.
just something that was always happening, and that was a big thing. Like the big jump for me, being around more people in school. A lot of people didn't care about this stuff. So I was like, oh, that's different. But yeah, we are in politics heavy. See some of Gen Z, we saving your elections sometimes because
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very in it, but also we're like not expressive about, like we're not super expressive about it. Like
Mhm.
we're not coming out here wearing a shirt that's like, you know, whatever, like whoever's running for election, and then like we're not
Well, some
showing
of us
that.
are, and
Well,
some
Yeah,
some
of
of
us.
us
some of
are.
us are, but like if we see things that we don't think are right, like if we want change to happen and we read up and do research and learn more about these people who are running for our offices, we
Mhm.
try to make sure that we get people who can make a change or who can at
Mhm.
least do better,
Yeah.
than the past. And we try to keep things like more like, yes, we don't really express too much about politics. Like you're not going to see us driving down the street in like the shirts for the election, but we would go out and we would actually, like, if we are allowed to, we would vote. Because I think a lot of Gen Z truly believes if we want change to happen, we have to make a difference no matter what it's with. You could start a petition, you could go be a part of a charity, you could do anything, but we feel like change is so important, and if we want to see positivity and good things happen, we need to be involved in that,
Yeah. I
in
think.
no matter the way.
Yeah, I think that also you see a lot of the negatives about the education that we get as Gen Zers. However, we are told we have to learn about government. That's has to happen. We have to learn about economics, and we have to learn about civics. That is required. I remember back in middle school, someone transferred to the middle school. They didn't take a civics class. They had to take the civics class because you can't move on. You can't go to the
Mhm.
next grade without taking civics. You have to know. We have to learn about the way that our government is happening. Whether our classes talk about politics, that is up to us
Mhm.
because our teacher's not supposed to bring it up. But if we bring it up, our teacher's allowed to talk about it with us. But we learn about the structure and how things work, and it's it's actually on our minds more because we're learning about it currently, and we're like, well, people just don't realize how the government actually works, and that we are supposed us as a people, we are supposed to be doing something because it's for the people by the people. And if the government isn't working for you, you have the right to protest it. You have the right to change it. That is the whole thing. And it's confusing when people are like, shocked that we want to change things and we want to fight for these things. But it's like, we're just expressing our rights and we're using our rights to our advantage.
Okay. I have two questions for y'all based on that. The first question is, so how much of your feelings or your perspective on politics do you feel like is shaped by adults around you versus how much you've actually just gathered and learned for yourself?
I I feel like um starting to know about politics comes from the adults around you, and then like as you, for example, take civics classes and US history classes and etc., then you start to be like, oh, I didn't know there was this and that and that and that, and then you then broaden your knowledge of all of the different things that are around you, and you actually realize, oh, I like this better than what I was told, like what I heard over and over again, but this feels like more ethical to me.
Yeah.
I
The
can agree
ones
with that.
you go ahead. You go.
Okay. I can agree with that. It's kind of like when you're young and you're learning how to like speak or walk. You
Hmm.
learn those basics from the people around you, whether that's your parents, any guardians, your family. So I feel like that's the same in this case. Like your first like instinct about politics or your first knowledge is going to come from the people you are around, from your parents. But you get to an age when you grow up and you learn more and you experience more, that you change your belief system, you change how you think. You can keep it the same and you can just expand on it more, but you get to a certain point in your life where you can change and you change your belief just because of what you experience and what you see, what you learn and what you hear about. And you you can take the knowledge from that base that you already have and just expand on it. Sometimes that base just changes completely.
Hmm. Yeah. So funny thing, what changed me and how I thought, you mentioned that we're arts kids and, theater and stuff like that. I'm gonna be so honest with you. Hamilton changed my perspective. And you must be like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
But Hamilton, packed full of history. You learn about George Washington. Obviously, George Washington, not the best guy in the world. However, his thoughts on political parties and dividing yourself, I agree with that. I want to stay as informed and moderate as possible because there is good to a lot of different things that come from both sides. And I think that people are basing how they feel about one party or another or one's ideas or another based on the people that are currently representing that party. However, be real when you get down to like what the actual ideals are, because that's also something that you learn in government too. When you
Yes.
get down to what they're saying, like some of the things that they actually are supposed to be following or supposed to be standing for, and they're not, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. But these people that are representing you are just doing a terrible job at it.
Yes. Yes.
And I also think that it's another thing of some of these old people, bro. They got to go. They need to
I
get out.
completely agree.
You
Like,
don't represent me, babes.
I think, I personally think that there needs to be like a limit to some things that aren't just continuing. Like, with, like, there's a starting age for something, there also needs to be a cutoff age.
Exactly.
Because
Term
we
limits are
just,
important.
like, when you're like 100 and there's someone who's 21, like, you can still make a change in their life that they have to continue to live.
Exactly. It's
Very good point.
self-preservation in your ages. You're protecting yourself because like that's what you when you're human. That's what you think about. You save yourself, but
Hmm.
when you're in a position of power like that, it is very important for you to think about the other people and the people that are coming after you. Because
Well, I want you and Michaela to make sure that you are 17 so you can get your signed up right now so that when you turn 18, as soon as you turn 18, you'll be eligible to vote and ready to vote. So please let's get that done because you all
Hmm.
need to vote. What you need,
oh, I
Jeff?
had a question for you if we were gonna.
Okay, well, we had one more thing, and I know we might go a little bit over if
That's
that's
what I was
okay.
asking. Are we gonna go?
I think we're gonna go over,
Well,
and
I did have a second question, but I'll wait to the end to ask the second question because it can be a more culminating question.
okay, well, this one was big for us, and it's about identity, and there's a lot of conversation about identity, and so whether that's preferred pronouns, whether that's ethnic background. So, Michaela, you mentioned, you were not born in the United States, but then how do you identify, or do you identify as an American or do you identify as Black? Like, how do you identify?
Me personally, I definitely identify as black. I identify as Caribbean because that's where I'm from. I'm from there, and I wanna stay true to my culture, to my roots. Like, not every island in the Caribbean is the same. So I personally identify as someone from the island that I'm from. That's my culture,
Yes.
and I identify as black. Yeah, you can. I'm technically an American because I do have a U.S. passport, but that's not how I identify. That's not the culture I was raised in. So I grew up, and all my family is from this one place, and that's where I grew up. So that's what I identify as, and that's what I will continue to identify as, even though I do not live in that place.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so one of the things I mentioned in the pre-show was that, my generation and prior generations fought really hard to not be boxed in. Especially my generation fought hard not to be boxed in and labeled. And it seems like this generation is fighting um to have more. It's just more labels. Not that we get rid of the labels, but that we want more labels. So we want to be identified as this and that and this and that and this and that. So tell me what you all are driving the conversation around identity.
I think part of it comes from us being young as well. I hate to say that, but like it's also just a thing of like we would like to identify ourselves because we don't know who we are yet, and we haven't fully, you know, we haven't fully become something yet.
Yeah.
So like we need identifiers right now because like that helps us differentiate. That helps us be closer to what we have. Also, I think one big thing for me is like I want to be able to stay close to being a Black American. That is very important to me, but it's also something that I'm like, how do I discover what that is? How do I know? I got to find out what that is. And if I'm not educated on what it is, then like, should I even call myself this? You know what I'm saying? But like, I identify as a Black American woman, because that's what I am. That's how it is. Um, and oftentimes, identity comes with the culture. Like Michaela said, this is my culture. That's who I am, and that's how I see myself right now. But maybe I can find something else that I'll put on the label. But that's really all I see
Mhm.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, something that's kind of deep with that. It's all about like accepting that culture as well. Because when I first moved, I accepted that culture a lot, but I had a thick accent, a very thick accent that people could not understand. So I had to change myself so that people could understand what I'm saying. And being an islander and being black, just period, a black American woman too, like that's no matter where it's from, it's something that's hard. It's never going to be something that's easy. So, also just accepting that identity was something I had to go through for so many years of my life. And I'm very grateful now that I do accept that. But it's also a process, I feel, because something like that is never easy. So, I'm very happy that I can accept that this is my culture, this is where I'm
Mhm.
from, and I wouldn't change it because I wasn't always like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
can I can definitely relate to that. Like also being an islander, it's like you come here and it's like no one like the things you did back in the islands. It's like what are you doing now? Like here, it's like very different. So it's like
Yeah.
oh I'm sorry, I didn't know this wasn't
Culture
the
shock.
normal. Yeah, it's culture shocking. And then you grow to learn like oh I can like have multiple identities that are comfortable with me where it's like for example at home I know I can like be like island with my mom and speak in how we talk and etc. And I come
Mhm.
to school and it's like I can speak more like Americanized but also show them like you guys do this but I also do that. And it's like I can find a balance in between what I do and what they do.
Yeah.
That's comfortable for me.
Yeah. It's also the finding the connection that makes you
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. Because when you connect to how you identify, and if that makes you comfortable, that's
Yeah.
why I can never be mad at someone's identity fully. Because
Yeah.
like that's how you connect with yourself, and that is your own mental. That's your mental and emotional thing that makes you feel good about yourself. Because if like for me, I didn't want, I was like kind of like iffy about identifying as being black, because it's just like, I mean, well, I'm black obviously, but I mean, I felt a little weird about it because I was like, I'm so different. But now I'm just like, I'm comfortable with that, and now I fully connect to it, and that's it. Just makes me feel better as a person, period.
I feel like that's another thing, you can look a certain way because obviously I'm black. I have the complexion of a black person. But for example, if someone who is of a lighter complexion of me grows up in, let's say, somewhere in Africa, they are considered an African. They don't have to be considered like a black person, but that's where they grow up. That's their culture, so they can be considered an African. Like for example, if I came from Brazil instead of from the islands. Brazil is not typically like somewhere that's like, known for like having such a high population of darker skinned people, but that's my culture, that's where I'm from. So
I mean, actually, they
we
are.
are,
All
but like it's like
dropped off in
Some
Brazil,
places in
but
Brazil.
yeah,
Well, now it's a lot of European.
now, yeah,
yeah.
So
now, but like what I meant, like what I meant to say was like that's not like a place like that. It's like because when you think of Caribbean and African, those type of places, but like if I grew up there, that's my culture. I'm considered Brazilian, so it's like I feel like it's all about you're more of like your nationality, your culture. That's most people identify with their culture instead of like being limited to one thing. It's all about your background. I feel like where you grew up, what you consider your culture.
Well, I will just say this: what I heard you all say, and as somebody who gets very tripped up with the whole identity thing, because to Demetria's point, for us, a lot of times it just feels like I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about this at your age. I did not think about pronouns, and I did not think about do I identify as black before I identify as a woman, or do I identify as a woman before I identify as black? I didn't think about a lot of those things. And it wasn't until probably I was either in college or maybe in the workforce where, because of how things have been shifting, and this thing called microaggressions that many of us experience, then you start questioning. And actually, I remember saying in a seminar, sometimes, like, if you're following a store, you're if you're a white person being followed in the store and suspected of shoplifting, you may just think, oh, this salesperson is a jerk. But for me, I have to go through a different process. I have to think, is this person just a jerk? Or is it because I'm black? Or is it because they perceive that I am of a lower socioeconomic status? Things like that. So I just say I appreciate this conversation, because what you said about connecting, many a times with people in our generation, it felt like assimilation. So when you were saying, I can speak like this at home, and I can go to school and speak like this, and I can have this balance, that's not what a lot of people in our generation could do. We call it code shifting. We call it, like, I can't fully, even though companies tell me to fully bring myself to work, I can't fully bring myself to work, because if I do, it's going to be like, well, why aren't you more like this? Why don't you talk more like this? Why don't you wear your hair straight? You get those sort of microaggressions. So I appreciate the perspective that is not necessarily the assimilation. You're not doing it because somebody is making you feel uncomfortable about who you are. You're doing it to be more connected with who you are.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm not here to make people more comfortable. That's the
Yeah.
thing that I've learned from social media. That's the upside of
Yes.
social media. It doesn't matter if they're comfortable. It's about you
Mm-hmm.
to a
Yours.
certain degree. Exactly. Also, I think a thing that's been happening is like people are like trying to, educate themselves, and then when they get around you, it's like, oh, well, you're not educated about this, and they'll be like, either they want to hear it from you or they don't care. And I'm just like, okay, you don't care, but I'm gonna let you know just in case, because if not, see, not everyone's as kind and as giving as we are. So someone might find out from the wrong one.
Yeah.
Sorry. And that's them for not listening to what we had to say. But yeah, it's about me. I'm living this life, not you. So I got to care about how I feel
Mm-hmm.
about everything.
Yeah.
Because you are not the owner of me.
Yeah.
Like Beyonce said, I was born free. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah.
Well, you actually were. Beyonce probably wasn't technically based on the laws of this country, but you all were. I mean, seriously, if we're honest, based on
Based on the laws of this country, your father is the first of his mother's children who was born free.
okay, well then Beyonce she was.
She was born free too.
Gotcha.
Sister, you had some questions before we wrap up.
Oh, I mean,
Well, I guess we'll do this as a wrap up question. I just want to know. So, in the pre-show, you all said you didn't have any questions for us. So, I would like to know a comment that you would have for us. If there's anything that you could express to people of older generations, because you all have enlightened me quite a bit. What would you like to say to us? And have we, because I feel like now I'm like, I think we failed y'all in a lot of ways,
Um,
from the environment to this political stuff. I feel like we failed you in a lot of ways. So is there something that you would like to gift us so that we can do better and be better?
Now we're Gen Xers.
Yes.
Your grandparents are Gen. I think
baby boomers.
are baby boomers. I think Damari, we say your mom was a millennial. So for those who are
Just older.
millennials, Gen
Thank
Xers,
you, Jasmine. Just older.
baby
Thank you.
boomers. Well, because you might want different things from each of us, right?
Well, yeah.
um,
Some of you I have. Oh yeah, different expectations.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead,
think-
Damari.
I think like something that older people would say is like, don't judge a book by its cover.
I was gonna
Y'all
say
are judging a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because we don't show and express that we have a lot of emotions and feelings about certain topics doesn't mean that like we don't know a whole bunch of different information about these topics.
Let it be known, the people that you see on social media, they do not represent all of us.
Yeah.
Because most
They-
of us are in their comments being like, girl, this doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
What are you talking about,
Mhm.
Because I mean, some of the things that confuse me too. Because some of these people, hello,
no
what are
sense.
you doing? You know what I'm saying? So
what are you talking about? What are you
Exactly.
saying here?
exactly, you're not saying anything. You're just
Like, I think like another thing that I'd say is one person doesn't speak for all of us, you know? It's just as everyone individually is a different person, we all have different mindsets and we all learn on different levels and we all think things differently. So I was gonna say something along the lines of Damari is that some things aren't as it seems, you know? Like,
yeah. Because
Well, we're gonna have y'all back.
Yes.
I'm about to do like Whoopi Goldberg does on The View. Y'all gonna have to come back because we have more times. I mean, we wanted to talk about this. Humor. Tomorrow is the anniversary of September 11th. You all were in the generation that was born. That was one of the things that happened. Like kind of square in the middle of your kind of the generational arc, and for you missed it, but then it there are so many things that happened thereafter that impacted, things that happened in your life as you were growing up, whether you
Like
real
you all have always had to take off your shoes in TSA.
yeah,
Mhm.
We did not.
we did not.
You all have always had to do 4 ounce, 3 ounces or less of carry-ons. There
Mhm.
was a time when you could bring a full thing of toothpaste.
There was a time when you could walk on the plane with your friend or family member, but you could actually board with them and walk them to their seat and sit there and talk to them. I remember walking with my cousins onto the plane.
Yeah. Then parents, like if you all have flown, especially as minors, you know, they may let your parent go to the gate. But yeah, to that point, there was a time where when you got off the plane, your family was always there, no matter how old you were, or when you were going flying away. You see these parent families now waving and at TSA, and it's like, man, you don't even know their story. That person may not have seen that person in 10 years, and they can't even walk them to their seat, to my sister's point. So and all of that is the result of September 11th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
dark humor thing. Yeah. Because, well, we can get into it a tiny bit, but yeah, we have a lot of dark humor because we're coping with a lot.
Mm.
Because we have a lot of stuff going on. And since we're so aware politically and about things that are going on around us, it's just like sometimes it feels like the world is over and we just gotta laugh through.
Mhm.
That's the theater thing, the tragedy and the comedy.
Mhm.
That's how we live through and cope with the things that happen to us.
it's all a dramedy for y'all, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty much days of our
Yep.
life.
I
Me.
mean, some things that happen in life is like this has to be a movie. Like,
That's
there's no way this
That's
is
what
really
I said.
happening.
I was
reality.
just talking about this the other day. I was like, "There's no way that
Hmm.
like these things that are happening to me. Like, if I don't document this, people would not believe me."
Exactly.
Uh, See, if we weren't around for some of the things that have happened in high school, it'd be like you are telling me this is a show plot. Like this is
Exactly.
reality TV. This is something that
If
happened on Big
you would
Brother.
have told me in what 2017 that there would be a year where I couldn't leave my house and I would have to like wear a mask and that there was literally a global pandemic, I'd be like, "You're lying. You're lying. That's not true. You're lying.
Exactly.
You could have told me 1 month prior to the COVID outbreak that happened, then I'd be like, that's so funny you say that,
Hmm.
liar. April
Yeah.
Fool's."
Exactly.
Hmm.
Everything has to be a joke because how can you go through life without laughing a little?
Yeah.
Well, folks, I want to thank those of you who have hung in here to the end. Those of you who are going to watch us in the replay, I hope that you are as illuminated as we are. And we want you to take time to go find someone who is of a different cohort than you. And oh, yeah, she said it in that comment posted there. Yep, she said it. She said it. Yes. But go and talk to someone who is of a different cohort than you, of a different generation than you, and do what we tried to do tonight and just listen and learn because there's so much there's actually more that we have in common than we have that we don't have in common, but it's how it's expressed, and I think that if we could really kind of collaborate and come together and how we maneuver and operate, we would be formidable. And so I want to thank you,
Yeah.
young lady, and thank you and you for joining me and for being with us tonight, and for everyone who is watching. Thank you for tuning in. Now, you two, don't hang up yet. We're just going to wave goodbye to everybody, okay? Good night, everybody.
Right.
Bye.